Well, recently, you've probably seen a lot of talk and speculation online around Doug Bowser, the president of Nintendo of America, officially traveling to Japan for some kind of Nintendo of Japan business meeting or just Nintendo brand as a whole business meeting. And you have a lot of people online jumping to conclusions that this should signify or indicate the fact that the Nintendo Switch 2 is around the corner and this is what they are discussing, or the next Nintendo Direct is one of the biggest and most revolutionary ever. And that is the reason that this meeting is happening. And in today's video, I want to share my own take and my own 2 cents on this entire situation and break down what, if anything, this means in terms of Nintendo Switch hype this year or beyond going forward. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. And as I mentioned, guys, today we are discussing Doug Bowser, yes, that's right, the president of Nintendo America, going to Japan for some kind of corporate business meeting. Nobody really knows the ins and outs of what's being discussed at this meeting or how significant it really is at all, and that's where I want to start this conversation, because while it's exciting to see Doug Bowser take to Twitter and say, I'm back at the office at Nintendo of Japan, I'm having meetings, I'm excited to be back here, and maybe we can speculate that this somehow means something for the future of Nintendo hardware or just big Nintendo game announcements, marketing plans around what's next or the next Nintendo Direct. That's all entirely possible, but I want to preface the video with this. When we are in a period like we are right now in the middle of January, and it has been since September since the last time we have really heard of anything significant from Nintendo in terms of game announcements being at their September Nintendo Direct, you have a lot of eyeballs, hype, and anticipation on it's been time. What should we expect from Nintendo? Something big has to be coming, right? And we know that likely within the next few weeks, we should indeed be able to expect an official announcement for their next event where they will really pull back the curtain and show what is next for the upcoming months in 2023, carrying us through nicely until June, where we should expect them to do their E3 Direct that should, by all accounts, be back in full force this year, as so far it sounds like everything is smooth sails ahead, that ReedPop will be bringing back E3 with their organization and planning, and a full-on in-person showcase will unfold again this year. When E3 happens, we see Nintendo historically stick to their Nintendo Direct at that event, and I think this year is no exception. It has only been in years where the event was entirely canceled or not held at all that you could really call into question whether or not Nintendo would do some kind of mainline Direct presentation in the summertime. And then past that, they're going to put a bow on 2023 with another September or fall Nintendo Direct, and that's really what we should expect in terms of announcements from them. And the reality is, while I would love to think that Doug Bowser being in Japan signifies new hardware or some kind of major unannounced Nintendo project being dropped, it is just not going to be that. Nintendo of Japan really does make all of the decisions for the company at the end of the day, and while Doug Bowser and heads at Nintendo of America would be involved in the marketing plans and even some of the strategy around how they are going to present new products and new games to customers, and maybe even filming some segments for the Nintendo Direct in person together, it is really not significant him going to Japan at all, and I don't think any of us should put any level of additional hyper expectations into Nintendo's 2023 just purely because of this visit. It is actually not that rare to see the Nintendo of America president make a business trip over to Japan, and while that's likely been less common over the height of the pandemic timeline, we are starting to see things obviously get more straightforward when it comes to travel around the world, and asking the president of one of Nintendo's, or really Nintendo's biggest market of gamers, which is Nintendo of America, to come there for a meeting, that should not be taken as anything other than just a requirement of the job that he has for Nintendo. And so I, like you guys, are super excited for the next upcoming events that Nintendo has planned with things like the February Direct. It might fall to March, it might be at the end of January, but I definitely think that the first couple weeks in February, we can expect to hear something, and that is where we are going to get our next Nintendo news. We talk about it all the time on the channel that naturally at this point in time in the Switch's life cycle, we should expect to hear something soon meaning in the next year or two, with what Nintendo has planned in terms of new hardware. But I don't think that Doug Bowser has to be in a boardroom meeting in order for those plans to be revealed, or maybe he does, but it's likely not this one. Could you go out on a far-fetched limb and say that yes, this is preparation for Tears of the Kingdom and new Nintendo Switch hardware launching alongside of it? That's entirely possible, but you should remember, if you've been following the videos on the channel, I really have shifted my position on that since we've seen the leaked Tears of the Kingdom Switch OLED. That, to be fair, is called into question. Some people tend to think it's real, other people don't. But between that and also the comments from John Linneman and the different game devs that he spoke with, that maybe once upon a time we could have expected a more powerful Switch revision to carry out the generation, that was likely the OLED model Switch, and due to the real world chip shortage, it was pivoted to just have that better display, more storage, and what we have today is the OLED model, but not an upgraded chipset. And so I am now more in the mindset that the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom OLED is likely a real console that Nintendo will want to sell for collectors out there, myself included, that I will be picking it up and double dipping on the OLED model. But I think they believe that a lot of people will do that, and that will carry them through the rest of this year with some marquee software releases as well, and we will likely see a lot of ports and remasters done throughout the rest of 2023 to carry us through the rest of this year. And I do tend to believe that towards the end of 2023 and really at any time in 2024, it is then the most likely window for Nintendo to start ramping up what is next in terms of new hardware, and it is likely a true successor to the Switch. If we are talking about them doing anything new in terms of hardware in 2024, it will not just simply be a simple revision of the same Switch at that point. It will be branded something like the Switch 2 or an entirely new name that Nintendo comes up with, although I personally believe they should stick with the branding of the Switch and just throw a 2 on there. It makes a lot more sense for consumers. PlayStation's been doing it all along, and you see how weird and confusing the product lineup of names can become when you're Xbox trying to create a different name each generation. You have the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, the Xbox Series. Like, it gets confusing after a while when you're trying to talk about, hey, I used to have the original Xbox back in the day. You can't call it the Xbox One because people think that you're talking about the VCR Xbox One from 2012, 2013 timeframe. And so I hope Nintendo keeps it simple with the branding on this. But all of that said, guys, that is my 2 cents on it. I really don't think that anybody should put any kind of stock or really any kind of additional expectations from Doug Bowser being physically present in Japan. How long is his business trip there? Who knows? But what does it really matter? Nintendo of America is primarily a marketing branch for Nintendo and all of their plans on how they present products over here. And while it could be a very important closed door business room meeting that will signify to us what's coming next sometime soon, and maybe we get news on that, it is also in no way, shape, or form a guarantee that that is what's taking place there. But I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, all your personal thoughts, opinions, and speculation around what, if anything, this Doug Bowser visit means for Nintendo of Japan HQ. Do you think it's significant at all, or do you kind of feel like me and this is just one of many different job requirements that he has to maintain his role as Nintendo of America chief and president? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic.